elections are the very heart and spirit of our democracy. And later this year, Bihar is going to go to polls, but it's going to be an election like never seen before, given that it's happening in the midst of a global pandemic. Now, the Election Commission of India has issued a series of guidelines for how this election should be conducted, and I'm just going to take you through some of the key points. Now, there's a general guideline for everybody connected to the election process, including EC officials, voters, candidates, and that is that every person should wear a face mask, they have to keep sanitizing their hands, social distancing needs to be maintained, and their temperature has to be checked regularly. Now, the second process is the nomination process itself. That is when the candidate goes to file his nomination paper. We're not going to see a huge gang accompanying the politician along with the supporters. It's going to be just two people who are allowed to accompany the Neta for that process. Now, campaigning is such a colorful process in Indian elections, in Indian democracy, and that is going to be restricted, and to be honest, it's going to be a little difficult to implement these rules, but let me take you through them. Now, the door-to-door campaigning, which you see normally, the politician comes knocking at your door seeking for votes. He can be accompanied, or she can be accompanied only with 5 people, no more than 5 people, including the politician himself or herself. The next big change is in roadshows. You're not going to see the usual 10 convoys together, but it can be only 5 convoys broken up with equal distancing between each vehicle. The third big change is going to be rallies. Now, rallies are so colorful normally in Indian elections. They bring out the most passionate of voters. And in these rallies, though, we're going to have to see social distancing maintained. It has to be in a huge ground, and the Election Commission is responsible to identify and to put out markers to maintain social distancing. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges that the Election Commission is going to face, given how thousands and thousands of people actually attend these rallies. Now, let's talk about the voting process itself. When you and I go to vote, it's going to be a very different process this time. Obviously, we have to sanitize our hands. We're going to have our temperatures checked. We have to be wearing face masks. We have to maintain social distancing. But we're also going to be given gloves at the polling booth itself, where before we actually sign that register, before we press the button, we have to actually be wearing gloves. Now, the most important part of this is that nobody is going to be denied the right to vote, including COVID positive patients. Let me just take you through this process. Now, suppose you come to a polling booth, your temperature is going to be measured first. If it is found to be higher than the permissible temperature, your temperature will be taken once again. If in that test itself, your temperature is higher than what is permissible, you will be given a token by the EC officials. You have to go home and you can only vote in the last hour of polling. If you are a COVID positive patient, then you are allowed to cast your vote. Nobody is denied the permission to cast their vote. If you are a COVID positive patient who is in quarantine, you will come at the very last hour of polling, and again, you will be supervised by health authorities, strictly following COVID related preventive measures. These are very, very important takeaways from this guideline to ensure that Indian democracy, which at the very heart of is the voter, is not denied the permission to cast his or her vote. Now, if you are also a COVID positive patient, you can actually cast your vote as well via postal ballot. You can post your vote if either A, you are a positive patient, or B, you have actually given your test results and you're awaiting your test results. Then you can cast your vote via postal ballot. If you miss that deadline to cast your vote via postal ballot, then you can come to the polling station itself in the last hour of polling, as I just mentioned. And now, COVID has affected almost every aspect of our lives. It's changed the way how sporting events are conducted. It's changed the way how festivities are celebrated, and now it's going to change the way Indian elections are conducted itself.